Welcome to Strange Weekly News. In this show, we'll be taking a look into the news and headlines to pick out curious reports of the strange, the weird, and the mysterious. Anything from UFO news to science advancements, the paranormal, and stuff labeled fringe science and fringe phenomena. Each news item we go over in the show, I will place all the links in the description box below once this live show is over, as well as chapters on the timeline index. Welcome to all the first time viewers and listeners. I'm seeing a new name in the chat. Hi, Phantom Detective. And hello, absolutely everyone else in the chat. John aside, Kurt, Seven, Dark Star, Cosmic. How is everyone doing today? Before we get started, I would like to mention on Tuesday, my guest for On Shifting the Paradigm, we actually did an AMA instead that we only do once a year. And after I looked back on it, we answered a little under 80 questions in an hour and 40-ish minutes. That's pretty good. I was like, whoa, I did not expect that. But for many of you, I heard some really fantastic feedback. A lot of you enjoyed it. So it just adds a little fun to the channel that, again, we only do once a year. Then on Thursday, on Mysteries with a History with Jimmy Church from Faded Black Radio, we covered United States presidents and UFOs. That was a really fun topic. And today, to help me with weekly strange news, we have Kristen Amanda, the host of ParanormGirl podcast. Kristen, how are you?
Hey, I am doing well. Thank you for having me back on. Hey, everybody.
Oh my gosh, I so thoroughly enjoyed having you on Shifting the Paradigm. I'm like, I need to have her back on again. But you know what? Let's do weekly strange news together. I think that'd be so much fun.
Yeah. No, that was a lot of fun doing that show with you, and I was really looking forward to this. So it's going to be a blast.
Yes. Okay, well, we have some great articles to cover today, but let's start off with a UFO sighting that took place in Wyoming. Now, when it comes to that beautiful state, I love it because it's so sparsely populated, and I'm like, that's where I want to be. Like forests, it's Bigfoot country, UFO country, and just a small population. I'm like, yes, sounds amazing.
It's nothing but just cows and fields, and that's about it. I've been through Wyoming a few times.
What else can you ask for? Just like a few house cats, a few farm
Right?
cats, and you're good to
Yeah.
go,
Yeah, it's just heaven on earth there.
right? So, in this article, do you want to give the rundown or shall I do it for this one?
Why don't you start us out, and then I'll
All
I'll,
right.
I'll follow your lead.
All right, here we go. So, a Wyoming pilot flying a Delta B767 reported 3 or 4 white lights circling above the jet at about 3:20 a.m. on September 24th. Now, I know what you're saying. Oh, it's September, but this was just recently created into an article, and I'm like, oh. We have to cover this. So the pilot reported through New Fork, which is very interesting to hear this. And I would like to mention that Kristen is kind of more into the paranormal side, and we are going to get into some amazing paranormal articles. But we got to start off with the UFO one, right, Kristen? That's just how you got to how to do it.
Yes, and I'll have an announcement for you after this too.
Ooh,
Yes,
I'm
exclusive.
I'm in the dark just like everyone else, and I'm so excited. I love surprises, unless it has pickles, and I'm like not for it. But this pilot, again, which is really interesting that he reported his sighting to New Fork, the National UFO Reporting Center, stated that the lights were well above him and maneuvering at a very unusual speed. Specifically, they were all flying at a large orbital pattern in the horizontal plane well above him. The pilot also said that there is no military use of airspace in the area and there was no known satellite activity. We've heard stories like this before, Kristen, where you're seeing a lot of pilots beginning to talk out about their UFO sightings, even Navy pilots as well. And they're stating it's not anything new and it cannot simply be mistaken for Venus or a
Right.
shooting star or satellites because they're in the air all the time and they're trained. They have a trained eye to know what to look for. And for quite some time, consistently, there have been pilot after pilot after pilot coming out and stating, yeah, we're seeing really weird things in the sky, and I don't know what's going on.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's because you're right, I'm not in this world as familiar with this world as you are, but if it's become more acceptable for them to start coming out like this, because this is absolutely not a new thing, but for a very, very long time, you would lose your job, you would lose your position in the military. They would think you are crazy. What are you talking about? UFOs, flying saucers? What are you talking about? So I thought this one was really interesting because I have heard more recently a lot of those stories having to do with the Air Force, the pilots and the military reporting these things, and that gave it gravity. That gave it like a sense of honesty to it. And then I haven't read a bunch from that private sector pilot. This is a passenger plane, is that right? Yeah, for Delta.
That's
And I
correct.
haven't heard many from that sector, so that really piqued my interest. That just kinda across the board now, just pilots, period, are reporting this a lot of the same things too.
And you made a really good point that back in the day, let's just say like a few decades ago, if a pilot were to talk about this, they would lose their job. And that is exactly what happened in 1986 with the Japan Airlines cargo flight 1628, where him and his co-pilot, they saw a UFO, they
Mhm.
reported it, and then they were stripped of their wings and they were
Yeah,
placed on a desk job.
crazy. Just crazy, absurd, and I mean, we think that's crazy now, but yeah, then you had to be real careful.
You did, and we are living in a great time right now where
Mhm.
they're more they can kind of more easily
It's
talk about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's still not perfect, of course, it's still can be classified as a taboo conversation, at least publicly, but for the most part, this pilot will not be losing his job anytime soon because he reported a UFO.
Yeah, and in a way, the government kinda gave them a gift where
Right.
they recognized, yes, there is for sure something flying, we just don't know what it is. So we're gonna call it, a UAP, is that right? We're not gonna call it a
Yeah.
UFO, it's a UAP, we just don't know what it is. So that's a gift in a way where you can feel more comfortable coming forward with these things because it's like, I'm not the crazy, alien person, I saw a thing, I saw a thing.
And that's right, and changing it from UFO to UAP, you gotta
Mhm.
change it up sometimes, you gotta spice it up. So, Kristen, where do you wanna take us with the next strange article?
Oh, there was oh gosh, I do wanna talk about the wormhole one if we could get to it. Okay, this was strange, and it made me laugh out loud. The man who got arrested after calling police 2,000 times in 9 days to harass and insult them. 2,000 over it was 2,060 times in 9 days. How crazy. And yeah, so an elderly Japanese man was recently arrested after calling the police precinct 2,060 times in 9 days to yell at the staff there and call them tax thieves and big stupid a-holes.
I mean,
So
that is some dedication right there.
it is.
I can't even imagine how many hours that is to do that many calls in 9 days, 2,000 plus. Like, w
They averaged it out actually, where is it? That it would average out 1 call for every 6 minutes and a total talk time of 27 hours. Can you imagine how angry do you have to be
or
with
how
someone
bored.
or bored? I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there in the prefecture there.
No, no, when I saw this one, I'm just like, "That is hilarious."
This was a
For
good pick.
for for anyone to call somebody else, an agency or a person, that many times because 1, he's furious, 2, he's absolutely bored, and he has nothing better else to do with his time. Like,
Yep.
Uh, you, you could call DoorDash. You could call your friends,
Yeah.
but
He's
no.
basically, doing that drunk, booty call, in the wee hours of the morning just with the police. It's like, just on redial. Yeah,
Well,
taking up precious
probably on
resources, taking
speed
up their
dial.
time, but yes, they did finally arrest him.
That's right. And his name has not been revealed, but we are
Mhm.
aware that he is 67 years old, living in Japan. And he doesn't really seem too eager to collaborate with police. And we may never really know what possessed him to call the police that many times in just 9 days.
Yep. Your
Like,
your guess is as good as mine. I don't know, tax thieves and big stupid a-holes. So, he might have been mad about maybe he received a tax notice that he wasn't prepared for. Mm.
Mm. Well, interestingly, according to the man's phone records, he had been calling the police for years, but he had only recently ramped up his operations for, once again, some mysterious reason. But for him, this is nothing new. He's been doing it time and time
Mhm.
again. But then
Mhm.
he's like, I got 9 free days. Let's do this.
It was a hobby and it became his, he wanted to become an expert.
Right. And while we are laughing about this is actually a serious issue because as you had mentioned, Kristen, this person is taking up the resources of the police, taking away from those actually serious, important emergency calls.
Mhm.
And when he's calling that many times, the operating system has to pick up every single time. They have to. There's no exception. And when it's the same guy over and over again, I kind of want the recordings of what was going back and forth, like how that went.
Yeah, yeah, and I think, like, if that were to happen here in this country, I wonder I don't think they would have allowed it to go 2,060 times. I don't think it would have gotten to that point because they do take their work very seriously and those are precious resources we need, and it yeah, junks up their line, and that might be putting somebody at risk, somebody's life in danger.
So then my question for you, Kirsten, is let's say you had that much time and you are given the opportunity to call someone or some place or some agency that many
Mhm.
times. Who would you call?
Ooh, to is this, like, to harass them or for just any reason?
For any reason that your heart desires.
I would call the, Washington sector of MUFON to try to get I think, I can't remember what her name is, but it's the president that runs the, operations over there. Because 'cause I've been trying to get her on my show. I would just keep calling, redial, redial. I don't know. I don't know. She hasn't gotten back to me.
Ah, dang.
Yeah, yeah.
That is disappointing, yeah, you're gonna
I
have to call
haven't
that
called
many
enough.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't called enough, you gotta do it a few thousand more times, and then maybe you'll be considered.
Maybe. Yes, yes. It won't irk her at all.
No, no, of course not. But I think for myself, I don't know who I would call that many times. Like, I I don't know, it's really hard because I wanna say, like, all of the above, which is, like, a really safe answer, but for those in the live chat, go ahead and answer this question. If you were given the opportunity to call someone or some place or some agency that many
Marine.
times, who would you call? And, like, there wouldn't be any consequences. I make that very clear. You're not
Air
going to prison.
Area 51. You're right, Marine. You are right, sir.
You gotta do it like that. Cliff says, "Call Ghostbusters." Hey, hopefully you have, like, a lot of ghosts in your location to call that many times because they would be absolutely furious, but that'd be hilarious at the same time. I've been saying this a few times, but, like, if I could ever have a ghost friend like Casper, it would actually be a ghost cat because I love cats, but, like, taking care of them can be kind of a nuisance, right? So, like, with the ghost cat, they you don't have to clean their litter box, you don't have to feed them. If they scratch you, it shouldn't hurt as much, right? And then they'll still love on you, hopefully.
Oh, yes. I just want the ghost cat to snuggle with me in bed. There's a
Right?
lot of stories of that, and they felt their cat that had passed on curl up right where they always used to sleep.
Oh, that's, like, such an awesome story, and for those that, aren't familiar with Kristen's story, she also had an encounter with her deceased dog. The entire story we actually covered on Shifting the Paradigm. If you do want to see it, the link to the interview will be below once this live show is over. But very quickly, Kristen, tell us a little bit about this really adorable encounter that you had with your dog that had passed away.
Yeah, yeah. The story centers around kind of those signs and the communications that you can receive that they let you know that they're there. And I showed up to work one morning, and he'd been on my mind for some reason. And I went to open up the store just like usual, and I went out back, which is like a closed off gated area. And as soon as I opened the door, I saw this tennis ball, this dog's toy tennis ball sitting in the spot randomly. I don't know how it got there, where I usually sit for my breaks. And as soon as I saw it, like I knew it was him, like, because that was his thing. His thing was tennis balls. I just knew. It was a knowing. So I picked it up and I took it with me. And I went about, opening the rest of the store. And as I'm walking through, I passed through one of the aisles and I looked down and I saw in the middle of the aisle, and mind you, like, we put everything away the night before. In the middle of the aisle is this package of doggy diapers. And, at the end of his life, for like the last 3 weeks of his life, he had to wear these doggy diapers. And I thought he looked so ridiculous with his little tail sticking out of the hole. And and at that point, like, I knew, I was like, boy, that's so weird. But I know this is another sign. And then not even a couple hours later, it's the middle of the day, and I go on my break, and I go back out to where I sit on my breaks, and I open the door, and sitting in the spot that the tennis ball had been sitting in the spot where I sit on my breaks, is this little red fishtail toy. It's a little plastic fishtail toy. And I'm like, "Oh, that's weird. I wonder what this could mean." And I pick it up and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, "It's a toy. It's for kids. It's red. What could it possibly signify? Fish are stinky." And I was like, "Oh, that was his nickname since the time he was a puppy, was Stinky." So 3 signs in one day, and that's, whew, getting
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and it can be overwhelming where
Yeah.
people, beg to get some type of communication from their loved one, have it be a
Mhm.
pet or have it be a person, and in your case, you got 3 messages in one that you
Yeah.
perceived to be that it was your dog that you loved so much, and I'm just like, that is a blessing, I think, for many people that have encounters such as that one. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we did get some answers
Mhm.
on who people would call 2,000 times if given the option. Jonocide says the CIA. Vash says the IRS. That's a good one because uh, Pop Princess says call Elon. Sean says KFC. Hey, why not? KFC has some really good biscuits and mashed potatoes. I know, like, what about the chicken? Their biscuits and mashed potatoes are bomb. Have you ever had them?
What is it?
KFC's biscuits and mashed potatoes.
Oh, no, no, I haven't. I've had their bowls, like their, stuffed bowls, but no, I haven't.
They're mashed taters. They're, like, so
Well, I
delicious.
like mashed taters. Heck yeah. Gotta give me some
Only
KFC.
oh, mashed taters and biscuits, it's how you gotta do it. Well, talking about food, it goes in one way and out the other, and I there was this really interesting article that I feel is very appropriate for this conversation, but also very important for those that are kind of like slight germaphobes of some kind. I'm gonna just share an image here. Um, while I do that, we are seeing a toilet and we're seeing after you flush all of this water coming back out. And there was a whole scientific study on this, on the little particles that come out, all of the potential E. coli that also comes out with toilets if you don't close the lid. So if you don't close the lid when you use the restroom, you should probably listen to this article pretty darn close because it could save your life. Kristen, take it away.
Okay, new nightmare fuel. Yeah,
Definitely.
why you should always close the lid before you flush. Disgusting footage reveals how a plume of particles can reach 5 feet above the toilet within 8 seconds, with some particles lingering for minutes. Yum yum.
Right? Ugh.
All right. So, yes, scientists from the University of Colorado Boulder showed a plume of tiny liquid droplets violently ejected from the toilet after flushing. These liquid droplets are usually invisible to the naked eye, so they used bright green lasers in the lab to make them visible so they could see them all. While this was a safe simulation using just water, any toilet in use can potentially blast out droplets containing dangerous pathogens such as E. coli and norovirus. And as I was reading through this, like you just think, how many public restrooms have I been in my life? Even if I wasn't using them, even if I just went in to wash my hands or something, like the nasty particles everywhere, just lingering around, floating around. Let's see. From the experiments, the researchers found that particles can shoot out at speeds of 6.6 feet per second, reaching 4.9 feet above the toilet within 8 seconds. So, flush, don't breathe, run if you're in
Yeah.
a public restroom.
That's the only way to do it. But here's the so the one of the purposes for this article that was released by the University of Colorado Boulder is they were kind of attempting to promote that public bathrooms should have lids to
Mhm.
prevent situations like these because there is a health risk there. But then you'll think back and to be like, all the years that I've used public toilets, nothing's ever happened to me, right? Which is a valid thing to say, but for the most part, I think it's important to have lids. But then here's the thing. People, man, right? You're going to put the lid down in a public place. Someone at some point in time is going to use the bathroom on top of the lid, and it's gonna be like an extra mess to clean for the poor workers at
Yeah.
whatever location that they're in. And so there is that, like, that's probably the reason to why they don't even have lids to begin with in these public locations, because they just know people, man.
Yeah, yeah, and, you're gonna run into a certain amount of germies and nasties out there anyway. You wake up and you breathe, you go on with another day and you are dealing with the nasty germs. Um, but I don't know, like, what would be a solution to something like that? Like, I agree with you. I don't think, like, lids are the solution here because, you know, people gonna people.
People
Um
gonna people. And they'll find a way, and you're like, "How is that even
Yeah.
possible?" "I made it happen." You're like, "Okay, we're just gonna pretend like it didn't
Yeah.
even happen." But when I, came across this, people would start thinking, well, and I read this comment in the chat, you better hide your toothbrushes because you don't want that kind
Mhm.
of fecal manner and matter and E. coli on that toothbrush that you're gonna put in your mouth, right? Twice a day. And that I find really grody. So if you don't close the lid, which it's normal if you don't, I'm not shaming anyone here, but if you don't, throw away that toothbrush, get a new one, and start closing the lid. If you can. If
Yeah.
you can't, then put the toothbrush on the other side of the bathroom.
Yeah, or on the other side of the house.
Why
Something.
not? At this point,
Well, yeah,
you
because you gotta think, like, even in your regular home, just your day to day, like, does everybody always, like, shut the lid? Do you forget sometimes? Like, it's bound to have happened where, you've been brushing with a toothbrush, it's got some things on it. So, it's gross to think about. It's one of those things that, I think we maybe all have, like, had this thought, or yeah, they've talked about this before. So it's crossed my mind before, but
oh my
no, you
gosh.
just don't wanna think about it.
No, no, you don't. But to continue this on a more high note, there is this young, adorable girl who who got a license to own a unicorn if she finds one. This girl's already a genius. She lives in California. I'm gonna share an image here just as a visual aid, but she hold on. Let me share my screen here. Okay. So look at this cute little image going on right here. So, a girl by the name of Madeline, with a vivid imagination and remarkable awareness of how bureaucracy can dash dreams, got her wish when she asked the Los Angeles Animal Control authorities for a license to own a unicorn if she's able to find one. The first of its kind permit came with strings attached, Of course, I mean, can you expect otherwise? Because the mythical creature must be provided ample exposure to sunlight, moonbeams, and rainbows, and have its horn polished at least once a month with a soft cloth. So you can tell here that the animal control authorities was having fun with this cute little girl who wants to get a license for a unicorn. And here is the letter to that she received.
Oh.
Is super adorable. And I'm thinking they don't disclose how old she is, which is disappointing. But I can just imagine like her parents influencing her to be like, all right, you're gonna be a lawyer when you grow up. You better get your license now so you can be rich and famous.
And it's like, how could you not respond in kind to just this
No.
adorableness? Like, imagine you were that, the person at the animal control and received this just my heart. It would just shatter into a million pieces. Oh my God. So yeah, I'm glad that they responded in this way with just, not joshing her, not making fun of her, but like having fun with it and being like, okay, all right, make you something cute, make you a cute tag.
And the letter that she wrote to the animal control says, "Dear LA County, I would like your approval if I can have a unicorn in my backyard if I can find one."
I
What,
wish her all the luck.
right?
I hope she finds one.
Well, if she does find one, everyone's gonna be flocking to her backyard to go check this thing out because every young person, boys and girls, they love unicorns. Like unicorns are the thing. Unicorn t-shirts, unicorn flavored candy, unicorn hair, which is like rainbow hair, right? And all of this costumes as well. So all of these things, um, I can't believe that no one else ever thought about this. Get a license on a unicorn when where we've had this unicorn craze for what, like 5 years, give or take?
Just for 5 years?
Maybe a little more,
Is
but
it
like
has it
we're
been a
like
special craze?
this like intense craze. Like or every like you see unicorns everywhere. But for those watching this live, if you are enjoying it, make sure to hit the like button. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm to push the content far and wide. So, all right, Krista, here's my question for you. If you could get a license on any mystical creature or cryptid, what would it be
Mm.
on?
Oh gosh. I think I'd have to go just right like Bigfoot. I think I would have to do that because so many people already believe. I am very friendly to the idea. I think it's just an mythical or not. I think it's an animal we haven't discovered yet. And it would answer so many questions, and it would just be just how cool would it be to have a Bigfoot? How cool would that be?
It would be awesome. Only if they can share how they create portals. I would love to be their friend. That'd be like my number one first question.
Ooh.
Be like, all right, we can be friends. I will give
Okay.
you all the food that you want, but I need the tech on how you create portals or what you do.
Mhm.
So
What
that
would
would,
you, what animal would you license?
oh my gosh, it would be the puck wedgies.
Oh.
I know. Take a look at this. It's adorable.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
He is adorable.
It's a little goblin from the Bridgewater Triangle
Mhm.
in Massachusetts, and, like, they're like these ferocious little goblins that can probably kill you and push you off cliffs and hit you with arrows, but it's their name, Puckwudgie. It's just so cuddly and sweet.
Mhm.
Like saying the name, it puts like a sweetness in my mouth. Like it's just so adorable sounding. So that's what I would license would be a Puckwudgie.
Why does it have to sound so cute, but be so aggressive?
Like chihuahuas.
Yeah,
They are
pretty
so
much.
cute, but oh my gosh, are they
Oh,
aggressive
well,
little
they can be
things.
so mean. Oh my
I
gosh.
know.
I think they're in the top, like, the list of most aggressive breeds. I think Chihuahua is up there.
What?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. But I think,
Don't quote me, but I believe so.
I won't, but my aunt had a chihuahua when I was younger, and it it just barked and, like, bit me and stuff, and it wasn't allowed to go outside because the hawks would eat it. So
Ugh.
she had to put like a little vest on it with spikes and also like potty train it so that it wouldn't be eaten by hawks.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Did she always keep her eyes on it when she
Yeah,
was
of
out
course,
there?
but
Yeah, I would
the
be paranoid.
it, like, never went outside. It was like an indoor dog cat thing
Indoor dog cat thing. That's a good way to describe them.
slash rat. Jonacide says, "My chihuahua is a sweetheart, but does pack a knife. Seriously."
I love that. I love that.
But then Pop Princess says, "No, chihuahuas are not aggressive." Have you not seen, like, chihuahua videos? Like, angry chihuahua videos? I love them. 'em. Don't get me wrong, but they are aggressive.
Hey, I have met some very sweet chihuahuas, very, very nice little creatures. I've known some hardcore ones. They pack knives for sure.
Gosh, yes. Pop Princess says, "Unicorns because they can fly and you could, ride them." I actually didn't know unicorns could fly. I know that
Oh,
Pegasus can, but if unicorns can fly, that makes them that much more magical.
that'd be cool. Yeah, I'd take a flying unicorn.
Which, before we continue, one thing that I do wanna mention, so we talked about, Bigfoot, and we still don't really know if it's real or not yet. It's still in the
Mhm.
cryptid category, but it could be found at some point. Well, I came across some really interesting information a while back, and XR, gosh, you read my mind, talking about the platypus. In the late 1700s into the 1800s, it was believed to be a cryptid, a mythical creature, because there was
Mhm.
no way that this animal could have so many different other animal parts like Frankenstein,
Right,
practically, right? But then
right.
also have it be a mammal that can lay eggs and that's poisonous. So, when, certain colonists, they eventually found the platypus, they're like, "Oh my god, it's not a monster, it's not some mythical creature. They really do exist." And we could have that same revelation with things that we call cryptids now at some point in time.
Yeah, that's what leads me to believe that, to some extent, that it is just something we have not discovered yet. Discovered because the platypus, the gorilla, up to a certain point, that was a mythical beast. Nobody thought those existed. Kangaroos, they came back describing a deer-looking creature standing up like a man, jumping like a frog with two faces. They described it as having two faces, their
And why is
face
that?
and their baby in their pouch. They described it having 2 it's just like, yeah,
Interest
that does sound weird. That sounds like a mythical creature, but there you go. Regular old animals.
Just gotta keep on discovering because as we know, about only 20% of our oceans are mapped, right?
Mhm.
That 80%, the Loch Ness Monster could be in there,
Yeah.
right? Another different type living in the ocean aside from good old Nessie living in the Loch Ness or Champ living in Salt Lake. So, it just goes to show that while there are so many of us here on planet Earth, there is still so much that is undiscovered right here, and we live in a mysterious world.
Yeah.
So much going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very good point. Most of the forests, there's a vast majority of the forest that has not been explored, and no human foot set inside, and that goes the same with the oceans too. There's a lot out there we just don't know yet.
That's right, I'm keeping my eyes out for the fairies that live in, like, little holes that live in trees. I don't know what those are called. That's what I'm looking for. But moving on, something that I find really interesting, something that's
Mhm.
definitely more in your forte, and that's looking at scientific research done on mediums and psychics.
Ooh,
So
okay.
you just recently did a season on your podcast, which all of her
Mhm.
social media links are below. And you do what? How many episodes was it?
This one ended up being, I think it was 11. Like, I do, lesson episodes, just like the straight, it's just me talking, revealing information, and I go back and forth with, guest interviews. So this one, there ended up being like 10 or 11 just regular episodes, just on mediums and psychics.
And very quickly, for those that are new to listening to you, can you kind of tell us the format of your podcast? Because in a sense, it's pretty unique.
Yeah, yeah, pick a different subject, like a different paranormal subject for each season. And then I spend the entire season just totally breaking it down to its nuts and bolts, just basic concepts, ideas. I'll go through things like, who are the experts in this field? What are some of the theories behind this phenomenon, whatever. And I also like to cover it like a skeptical. I'll take one full episode to do the skeptical take on it. So for this last season, it was pretty easy to do the skeptical episode because there's so much to cold reading and there's all these different techniques and the James Randi, interaction with the whole world and the work that he was doing. So in a nutshell, that's what it is because I want like a full world understanding of any of these given subjects.
So tell us a little bit about this article and kind of what the findings were.
Okay, so this one, yeah. So as for let's see, I just lost it. I'm so sorry. Hold
No,
on. Let
no,
me
you're
pull it up
fine.
again. Let me
I
pull it
I
up
I put
again.
you on the spot.
No, because it's such a big article too. There's a lot to it.
It is. There's a lot of subcomponents to it, but I think one of the biggest aspects, and I've briefly talked about it with John Russell, who is a psychic medium, who's a frequent co-host here
Mhm,
on Weekly Strange News. And one factor about when it comes to psychic and mediums, the ones that claim that they are the real deal, for this experiment that was done, it was a double blind experiment, and there were a few others as well that was conducted by the Wind Bridge organization.
mhm.
But one thing that really stood out about the ones that seemed a little bit more real than the charlatans was that a lot of them actually have health issues.
See, that was interesting. I hadn't heard that before. It does not surprise me at all because these people are extremely sensitive. And I kept thinking about, well, like one of the aspects of being a medium and also being a psychic as well is this extreme sense of empathy, being empathic, which is basically makes you a human sponge for all of the energies around you, other people's emotions, even other people's illnesses. And if their body is hurt, like you can feel that, you feel it within yourself the same. So that fact did not shock me, but it was kind of cool to hear that and just make me think about it for a second because it was new to me.
It is, and a really good example of this, and I'm bringing back John back on here in this conversation. So he's been a sensitive his entire life, but
Mhm,
since he was born, he's had all of these health defects, all of these issues that while he can attempt to heal other people, so he says, he actually can't do the same for himself. And this is
mm,
a kind of topic that has been kind of sprinkled across more ancient cultures and scriptures as well. If we look at the Buddhist perspective, there are a lot of monks that have these kind of arhat abilities, which would be classified as almost like supernatural powers due to their extreme meditative practices. And
mhm,
they're able to heal other people if they come in, with a question or something like this, like, hey, can you help me? They'll attempt to do so, but they're not actually able to help themselves. And the same goes for sadhus and gurus in India. It's the exact same thing where you are so advanced in your spiritual practice and your cultivation. You have almost these, once again, somewhat spiritual, supernatural abilities, and you're able to help other people fix their ailments, cure them of cancer if you were able to do that at that extent, but you can't necessarily heal yourself the same way.
mhm,
And there's different reasons for that. Looking at these kind of more ancient cultures, one of them being that you're dealing with the sense of karma, where if you heal yourself, it's more egocentric, and then all that good karma that you built up to help others, now to help yourself, it'll all diminish. It's like a very simplistic way of explaining it. But when I asked John about this to hear his perspective, because he's someone that is dealing with that, he doesn't really have an answer. And as for other psychics, it's just something that they have to deal with on a day to day basis. They don't really have the answers on why they can't help themselves or why that they're so much more sick than the average person. But in this study, they were able to find out of about the 20 mediums that they did extensive research on, placing them in labs, really testing them, but also looking at their mental and physical capabilities as well. The
Mhm.
majority of them showed health issues.
Hmm. And I wonder if this is the same study. It just sorry, sidetracked. Because Julie Bishel, she's a big name, as far as, like, scientifically studying mediums and psychics and the Windbridge, Institute, but she specifically did, that I referred to, this study of a group of certified mediums who were quintuply blinded, like, we're not talking double blinded, triple blinded, but quintuply blinded, to just remove all sensory information or, cold reading, anything like that. And some of these mediums were coming back like 90% accuracy. So, I mean, they're doing some really interesting things over there. As far as yeah, as far as them being sicker than the average person, I just, I wonder, because what I'm trying to flesh out this thought. So, a lot of psychics and mediums that have been doing this for a while, they will be first to tell you, you've got to set up boundaries. You've got to have, like, be calm within yourself and have these strong energetic boundaries because it'll drain you. And I wonder if that's kind of feeding into this, like it pulls your energy in a way, like you are giving away energy to another. And I wonder if that's working its way into the sickness aspect.
Interesting. And I guess you kind of go into the topic of matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed. So maybe in this sense, and I'm just thinking out of the box here, we do not have the answers to this, but what if they're able to take their health or their energy and transport it or transfer it over to whatever they're doing for whatever reason. I think
Mhm.
that is something to consider as well. The fifth kind, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It says, great channel. Christina is a brilliant host. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much. And for those that don't know, go check out his channel. He has fantastic content. So, when you were talking with the people that were involved in mediumship, during your series, your latest series on your show, overall, what was a reoccurring theme or something that you found really interesting during your research looking into this?
How they would see, like, get information. It was pretty common across the board that they were all either seeing, hearing, tasting, feeling, sometimes all of them. So in some of the people that I talked to, some senses were stronger than the other, which is interesting because I think they talked about it in that article, and actually they talk about it in a study by Adam Rock, where he goes through, like, the different aspects, how what makes a medium different from a psychic and how they're receiving information, and these senses were, time and time again, that is what was seen in these. In the study was like they see it, they hear it, they have a knowing, they feel it in their body, like they just like, and it's across the board. So there is something to that, and that was, I did see that across the board in my guests as well.
Yeah, that is it is really weird. And I think another factor that I find really interesting about them is, and actually, I think we talked about this on Shifting the Paradigm when I had you on, talking about seances. So we just touched on communication just now, but then you have this seance factor where, for the most part, through the skull experiment that took place in the 90s, it was practically all faked. It was all a hoax. But
Mhm.
then it's instances like that or fake mediums like that ruin it for everyone else, that really
Yeah.
muddy the water for those that are really have these natural abilities, and then you just assume, nope, everyone's a fake, everyone's a
Mhm.
charlatan because those few people ruined it for everybody else. But
Right.
for those that aren't familiar with seances, can you just give us a brief overview on that?
Yeah, it usually took place in a dark room, a medium, and one or more sitters who wanted to have this communication with the deceased, and the medium would basically, it depended whatever their tool of choice was or whatever they wanted to do with that, but calling upon the deceased to interact with them, and sometimes it would touch people and you would hear knockings and rappings, and that's where you get table tipping in there, and sometimes they would produce ectoplasm, which is definitely beyond fake. In what I found, I don't want to offend anybody, but in what I found, yes, absolutely, definitely fake. It was the physical manifestation of a spirit, but it needed the medium's energy and the medium's body to produce this thing, and that often took place in the seances as well.
And for those that don't know, the ectoplasm, at least the ones that were collected, it was like sheep's cloth and sheep muslin,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
as
like
well.
cheesecloth and paper and egg yolks and just, household things. Yeah.
Yeah, it was when I was looking into that and when I had you on, because I wasn't too familiar with it at the time, I was like, people actually believed this? But then we can
Yeah.
bring it over to modern times
Mhm.
where we have CGI now with everything, but very specifically looking at UFO sightings. There are a lot of people that believe these UFO sightings that were used through CGI are real, and they will swear by it. And it goes to show that we are always ready and we are always willing to be deceived if it either one helps with our narrative or two it achieves this kind of emotional gain or this emotional comfort. So for these seances, they were playing with people's emotions where
Mhm.
you are so vulnerable when you want to communicate with your past loved one, the one that has passed on. You will do anything to go ahead and go receive some kind of communication, and you will be lied to flat out to your face. But when you're in that fragile emotional state, you'll still want to believe it.
Mhm. Yeah, no, we all run a risk of falling victim to our own confirmation bias.
Absolutely.
And, as James Randi said a few times before he passed, sometimes people want to be tricked. And it's not a stupidity thing. It doesn't make you an idiot. It's just kind of part of the human condition to
It is.
need to have that confirmation, and I would feel so much more comforted to have a medium session and be able to communicate with, a deceased loved one. Like I want that comfort so much. If I'm in it and they're telling me things that are making sense, maybe not all of it, but yeah, yeah, that rings true, that clicks. I'm gonna be more likely to believe that. I want to believe it. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, for myself, it's I wanna believe that every single cat loves me, like, that they will never hurt me and they'll love me forever. And while it might sound a little facetious, for me personally, like, I want to be accepted by animals because, like, I really do. So I want all cats to love me, and I will trick myself time and time again. There's actually 2 that I had that didn't, and I was like, "It's fine. They still do. They'll always be my children, even though they did not like me at all." But
Maybe that's how they showed love. That, kinda masochistic,
I
sorta
I
love, I don't
I
know.
I will deceive myself and I will say, "Yes, absolutely." But then my other self is like, "Are you out of your mind?" I don't think that's the case at all, but it's okay. It's fine. I'm gonna believe it anyway. Moving on, we are getting into the Christmas season, and what I found really cool is that more than 900 Santas participated in the 13th annual marathon in Germany. I'm going to share an image here of all of these people wearing Santa costumes in Germany, jogging around. Now, this is nothing new, and I was really surprised when I was doing research for Krampus last week, or Krampus, as some say. There is also a Krampus marathon as well, where people are dressing up in anti Santa Claus costumes and they're snatching up children that are watching them, and they just keep on running. And you
Oh,
know what? It's only in Germany.
but that's got to be so hot. I
Well,
don't know
Germany's
what the.
very cold.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's pleasant.
Oh, my question is, whoever's selling all of these costumes is rolling in money.
Making bank. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny. Some of them are with they got the beards.
Yes, I'll zoom in right here. Take a look at this guy. Number
Oh
508.
yeah. Oh yeah. Tell me.
There you go.
Love it.
That's it.
Love the
If
look.
if if you're gonna do it, go big or go home. So this is the 13th annual St. Nicholas Run that takes place in Germany. And as you can tell, everyone is wearing red coats and hats, and some are even wearing strapped, bushy white beards on their faces, brave enough to run with the cold temperatures. Runners were allowed to choose between running 1.5 miles, 3 miles, or 6.5 miles, and then they were treated to some wine and chocolate Santas after
Oh,
completing their run.
oh, that is so nice. I wonder, this is just for fun, right? That's what this run is for. Like, is it
So
for a charity or
it didn't say that.
reading?
It didn't say that in the article. I'm just going to assume it was for fun, as we know that some
Oh,
marathons are, but the majority of them in some way are some type of fundraiser. But I think it is such a reward to finish running a marathon and then be fed chocolate and wine.
oh
Like
my
that is
gosh.
the best way to nourish the body after a run.
Yeah. You got to replenish. Yes, get them electrolytes.
Forget the Gatorade. Forget the granola bars. Nah, chocolate and wine.
Oh my gosh. It's
I
the holidays. Kick back.
Right. You're gonna gain a few pounds during the holidays, and it's totally normal and natural. In my high school years, I was in track and field, and I despised running. I absolutely hate running with all of my heart. And when I was running every single time during track practice, I'm like, why did I sign up for this sport? Out of all the sports out there, I had to choose this one. So people are like, oh, Christina, you're in track. Do you want to run a marathon? And I'm like, absolutely not.
Hmm. Who
No,
wants
thank
to
you.
run a marathon? Eek. I did a
Or
10K once. That was rough.
did you train for it?
I did. I put myself to the metal and
Pedal to the metal, baby.
I ran every day. I forced myself to do it. You gotta incrementally increase how far you can go, how fast you can go. Um, Take your break days, that's important too. But yeah, I did train for it.
Dang,
I'll never do it again. I hate running more than anyone on this earth. So I
I am with you on that one. Like I just for some people they find it as a meditation, but for me, my lungs, they just don't survive it. They're like, "What are you doing, Chris? Out of all the things you could do, you picked this one." And I'm like, "Yeah, self-love going on all over here." But I
it'll come in handy if you're ever in a
zombie
sticky
apocalypse.
situation. Yeah, okay,
Oh,
zombie
yeah,
apocalypse. Just outrun the guy next to you, that's all you gotta do.
that's all you gotta do, and that's it. But also have some good running shoes, some decent ones, because running in heels, that is no easy task. I was watching a movie a while back. No, like I mean, a movie from a while back, just a few days ago. It was like took place in the 80s, and I can't remember the movie, but it was this woman, and she was like running with a riot, and she was running in heels. And I said,
Ooh.
that is a skill. I was praising her through the film, and I'm just like, you go. I can't.
How do you even I don't know, it's a special you gotta have real strong calves and just be able to run on your tiptoes so you don't break an ankle.
Exactly. I think the movie was called. It was a British film. It was like called uh, Quadrophenia, something like that. It was something like that, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. Steppenwolf, thank you so much. It says puck driving lessons, UT roads rough. This is true. So for Kristen, let me give you some context to that message. And Steppenwolf, thank you so much. So I'm planning on getting an RV as soon as I graduate in the summer and to travel the United States, hitting all the UFO hotspots and paranormal hotspots. Puck right here, he's going to be driving. And so we need to get him a license, and licenses aren't free. So Steppenwolf, thank you so much for getting Puck a license, because sometimes and some days I don't want to drive. I want someone to drive me instead. And that's why I feed Puck. That's why I have him around.
That is so cool. That is so cool. I think I had heard that you were getting an RV and gonna do the UFO hotspots, and I'm very jealous. I'm so jealous.
Okay. See, I've been planning this for since my senior year in high school. I've been saving up that much
Gosh.
time to make this dream come true. And I'm so blessed to have people like you and everyone in the live chat just doing this kind of content with me, supporting the channel, hitting the like button, and everything that everyone can do. It makes a really big difference, and we're so close. I can almost taste the gasoline, right? We're almost there. But some RVs
Oh,
take diesel, so gotta be careful.
that's true. That's true. You got your eye on one yet?
There's a few,
Okay.
but I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give myself too much false hope, right? But there's a few that I'm like, ooh, that's gonna look nice for the ramen wagon, as Jonacide calls it. The ramen wagon fund and for Puck. Thank you for feeding Puck, Jonacide. So moving on to our next article, Kristen, where do you want to take us?
Oh, you know what? I want to talk about the Pareidolia because
This one is so
that.
important.
Oh my gosh. So that I'm only familiar with it because of looking at shadow figures and that phenomenon.
Yes.
So, pareidolia, seeing faces at unusual places, and why does it happen? The psychological phenomenon, which causes few people to see as well as hear a vague or random image or sound as something significant, is known as pareidolia. I've had it. Most people
I've
have.
had it.
Yeah. The above word is derived from the Greek word para, which means something faulty or wrong. Pareidolia is a type of apophenia, which is a more generalized term for seeing patterns in random data, which our brains are wired to do it. We love us some patterns. I talk about patterns all the time on my show because patterns can kind of make something that doesn't make any sense any other way make sense. Why does it happen? There are numerous theories as to the cause of this phenomenon. Experts say pareidolia offers a psychological determination for many delusions that involve the senses. Pareidolia often tends to have religious overtones. This is interesting. A study in Finland found that people who are religious or believe strongly in the supernatural are more likely to see faces in lifeless objects and landscapes. And that immediately makes me think, let me look at the picture. Yep, that's what I thought. Yeah, yeah.
So right here, we are looking at the very famous picture of Jesus's face on a grilled cheese sandwich. And you're like, I am not seeing Jesus. And I'll be honest with you, personally, I'm not seeing this one either. But about 10 years ago, Diana Miami sold her grilled cheese sandwich for $28,000 on eBay in 2004.
Can you believe that?
I don't know who has the money to buy a grilled cheese sandwich
And
of
can you still see the image? Can you still see it?
yes, so it's actually behind glass to my understanding,
Oh,
and or like it's mounted or it was like glossed in some way. So this is still a thing. We are still seeing
wow.
Jesus on a grilled cheese sandwich. The Late Late Horror Show, very awesome name by the way. It says loving these shows. Thanks. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. And Jessica, hi there. Thank you so much. It says to support you and Puck to get a little closer to the RV and equipment for the RV. Thank you so much, Jessica. So, while for this grilled cheese sandwich one, I've heard it before. I've actually never seen the image. This is the
Mhm.
first time I've seen it. But there is one that is more outlandish than this one, and that is a cinnamon bun that's supposed to look like Mother Teresa. And
Yeah.
and I find it almost insulting.
Well, so they had it on display for about 10 years. until it was stolen on Christmas in 2007. That I can't take it. Why? Why? This is this is
L-
perfect. This
If
is
if
perfect.
someone told me I looked like this, I don't think I would find it as a compliment.
It does look like her though.
I don't see it. I don't see it. But
Or she looks like a cinnamon bun. I don't know.
¿por qué no los dos? Like, why not both of them? But cinnamon buns are delicious.
Ugh.
And I'm surprised that this person that created this cinnamon bun didn't actually eat it.
Well, luckily, yeah, it's a famous image now. But I
Well, we don't know
wonder,
where it is. We don't
maybe
know where it
yeah,
is.
yeah, oh, yeah, the person who stole it, yeah, maybe they stole it because they were hungry and they didn't realize.
After so many years, oh, heck no. But I mean, is there mold on it? Is creating mold? Was it glossed over, right, to
See,
like preserve it? Because if it gets all moldy, it's not going to be Mother Teresa anymore.
yeah, I would think they would have had to, because this is, it's bread, it's gonna it's gonna degrade and decompose and all of that, like, it's gonna get moldy and nasty and hard as a brick. They had to have embalmed it somehow.
This-
What's going on in the
Zen Zenza wrote cinnamon nun. That's hilarious.
That's awesome.
That was a good pun. But let's talking about this cinnamon bun, right? It's a breaded Mother Teresa. Mm, like, is it like McDonald's bread that never molds? Is that what happened with this cinnamon bun? Like, what ingredients were in it? Was it preserved in some way, or as you state, embalmed? Or is it just like a fancier version of McDonald's? Or was it a miracle, Kristen?
You know what? It could have been. It could have been. I'm sorry, McDonald's buns don't mold?
No, neither do their French fries. Yeah, it's pretty grody. Okay, really quick story I'm gonna tell you right now. So
Mhm.
back if you remember back in school, you had to do like a science presentation on some like big lab assignment. And I did this in the 4th grade where I bought every single sandwich from like the famous stores like Wendy's, Burger King, McDonald's, and then also like fresh meat from the grocery store to see which one would mold first. Of course, the one that molded first was the one that you buy at the grocery store that you make at home. The
Mhm.
McDonald's one, it didn't mold in several weeks when it was in a plastic container. I ended up throwing it away, right? Because I didn't finish. I mean, I only need to do my experiment for 2 weeks from like the 4th grade, whatever science lab thing.
Yeah.
But there have been people that have kept these hamburgers for incredibly long periods of time and they do not mold.
Oh, what's it
Yeah,
made of?
plastic.
Gosh. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
So
not good for you, we all know that, but
no, no.
yeah.
Loads of people have done tests on it. If you wanna see it or those that are listening wanna see it, just type it in on YouTube or onto Google because they do tests on their fries and on the bread, and it just makes you question, like, "Okay, if I'm gonna eat this, what's gonna happen to me?" Personally, I do love their M&M McFlurries.
Ugh,
I'm guilty. I'm
no,
guilty
their
of that.
McFlurries are good, yeah.
And also, like, their hash browns, decently bomb. But, like, for their burgers and stuff, I this information bothered me so much that their food just does not mold, which is
Mhm.
unholy. Like, that
Yeah.
is a sin if your food doesn't mold. And when I found that out, I'm like, "I can't. I can't
Yeah,
eat
no,
this."
no, way, way too many, preservatives, Tyler. You're absolutely right, it is concerning. I was gonna be funny, I'm sorry, I was thinking maybe somebody should, call it names and be aggressive with it. You ever seen that test where they did it with the lemons in the glass? You just, like, insult and just aggressive things, just cuss out one of the lemons, and the other one, you just say really nice, loving things, and it makes a big difference, like, you can see it, like, a couple of weeks afterwards, the one is gonna be super moldy and nasty and black, and the other one looked, fresh, like it had just been cut that day. It's
It
really interesting.
it's so weird how words are so magical. Um, and there was one more test really fast that I wanna mention. There's another experiment done, and place in a white paper of plants listening to rock music versus like a
Mhm.
classical music, and the ones that listened to rock music, they wilted so incredibly fast compared to the ones that listened to classical music. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's so cool. And then if we bring that to ourselves, right, when we tell ourselves negative things, or like when we're incredibly anxious and we're like, oh, you're not good enough, it's going to negatively affect you. It's going to make you wilt on the inside versus
Mhm.
you telling yourself positive things. Hey, you're doing great. Hey, pace yourself. You also notice that mentally from person to person as well,
Yeah.
which is really important. And we
Yeah,
should look at
and
that
that'll
more
it'll make
often.
you sick too. Yeah.
It does. It does. Mark says McDonald's fries last forever under your car seats. Yes, they can be found years under car seats, and they look like new. I do not recommend that you eat it, but they do not mold. I don't get it. Moving on to our next article. Let's. This one's actually pretty interesting. A Florida woman's message in a bottle discovery reveals a surprising connection. I'm going to share an image here as a visual aid for those to look at while we read this article. But and I'm kind of summarizing here because I don't have the article right in front of me while I'm doing this. But this woman found a message in a bottle, which, by the way, is so exciting. Like, that is treasure in itself. You don't know what the message is going to say. You don't know what year it's from. It probably traveled the entire globe just to get to you. So you'd think. Well, for this woman, Kathy Grace, she was at the Fort Myers beach cleaning up in the wake of Hurricane Ian on November 30th when she found a bottle signed by a trio of Ukrainian American siblings. And she opened it. She was like, oh, this is going to be so cool. And the letter was dated back in the year 2000, March 3rd, 2000. And she
Oh,
sent a
man.
picture of the letter to her children, like, because it's exciting. And her son, Michael, is like, you're not gonna effing believe this, but I actually know one of those people that wrote that letter. I went to high school with him. We both worked at DHL. And look, here's a picture of us last year in California at the beach. Oh my gosh. So she ends up posting this on Facebook. And a lot of people, along with this family as well, that wrote this letter back in the year 2000, this Ukrainian American family of three siblings, they said, and in the very cliche term, we live in a small world.
Well, what are the odds?
Exactly.
Mm-mm.
I mean, how many coincidences are possible in all of this? It is
Mhm.
too it's too crazy. And if you want to take a step back for a second, and if you think that everything that happens to you is a meaning or a sign of some kind, right? If we're going to take that path, and let's do that right now, what could that all mean? Does it really mean we live in a small world, or does that mean you got to stay in contact with these people?
I don't know, but it means something else is going on here. I tend to look at it that way, something mysterious and odd and something we totally don't understand, but, like, something like this, I would probably look at it as some kind of sign, something that was meant to be, not
Or we're all in
or
a
anything.
simulation,
Ooh,
Matrix.
that's an episode for another time. Fascinating. Yeah, yeah, there's some indicators.
Yeah, this story was so strange. And I think a great
Mhm.
story for this show, Strange News, because seriously, Kristen, what are the odds? For 22 years, that little bottle was floating around,
Mhm.
God knows where, and then a woman opens it, she takes a picture, sends it to her son. Her son's like, I know these people.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's hard to have that perspective to make it, like, profound, because it is profound, because there were millions of people on this beach, since, for the last 22 years, walking around, walking over it. Any one of them could have seen it, dug it up, picked it up at some point, taken it away, and this connection would have never been made. But this is, like, this is so synchronistic. I love this. That of all people, it was the connection that made the most sense, you
Right?
know?
Steve says entanglement theory. Actually,
Ooh.
this story inspires me to write a message in a bottle and then also sing the song as well. And if you're going to put me on the spot, I actually don't remember even the melody of how that song goes, but I know it's a famous song about a message in a bottle.
Message in a bottle. Is that the one?
Is that the one? I
Yeah.
don't know. But I all I oh, but it's by Sting.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the one. I know. Maybe
Maybe
I'm
there's
making it up.
several, but that's the song I would jam to as I'm writing the note, and it's gonna be like, "Hey," and then put it in a bottle and be like, "Throw it in the ocean."
What do you hope to get from that? What's the connection you wanna make
With what?
when you write your message and throw it in the ocean?
I mean, I think in all honesty, I'm not really too sure what I would attach. Maybe my email, be like, "Hey, if you find this, send me an email." That would be pretty cool, like, 1,000 years later or something.
Mhm.
But I think that it'd probably, like, end up, like, on a beach in Ireland, 'cause I lived there at some point, and that would be super synchronicity. If someone picks it up, be like, "I remember Chris
Yeah.
from, like, the early 2000s and blah, blah, blah." That would be wild. But as for this one in particular, it never well, actually, we don't know that, but it got dropped off at that beach, and it
Mhm.
came back to that beach.
Yeah, yeah. And just kinda buried for a little bit,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then all of a
maybe.
sudden it surfaced. Yeah. It coulda
Was
just stayed buried too, and she woulda just walked right on by it. So, yeah, very
good question.
synchronistic.
Because this did happen right after Hurricane Ian, so a lot
Mm.
of stuff was going on.
Oh, yeah, good
Yeah.
point.
So then, Kristen, I'm gonna turn this question back over to you. What would you hope to gain if you wrote a message in a bottle? What would you write?
Mm, okay. So the first option, or the first thing that occurred to me, was I would love to meet some of my still Sicilian family. I know that I've got it. That's where my this family line, like, originates from there. Like, my great grandmother came over to the port of New Orleans and started this whole thing, and I would love to meet one of them, like the originals.
That
As
would be
far as what I would
cool.
write, I do not speak Italian, so that might be tricky, but I would just like an open-ended invitation of some sort. Like, "I want to meet you, I'm open to meeting you, let's make this happen," something like that.
Well,
I know,
hopefully
not
your
not
family
romantic.
is the one that picks up that bottle, because that would be really
Hopefully.
creepy.
I know, yeah, I'm digging myself a hole there.
Just don't put your address.
Yeah. Or no Social Security number, no address, no, yeah.
No, no
"Come find
social.
me, come on." No, maybe I'll go like you did, my email.
Yeah, yeah, and, like, not even your phone number, like, just an email is so safe. That's how you gotta do it. You always gotta play it safe.
You can't be too safe these days.
This is true. Trust no one. Moving on, we got about 15 minutes left. Kristen, where do you wanna take this? You are the one sailing this boat.
Oh, no, yeah, let's see. I'm looking, what do we got left? There was the rocket, the space trip.
This would be
Yes, okay.
cool.
I'm gonna flub some names here, but Japanese billionaire Mizawa picks K-pop star Top DJ Steve Aoki to join SpaceX moon trip. That would be so exciting. Okay, so he revealed on Friday that K-pop star Top and DJ Steve Aoki will be among the 8 crew members he plans to take on a trip around the moon as soon as next year, hitching a ride on one of Elon Musk's SpaceX rockets. A lot of people are going into space these days.
I know, I'm a bit jelly.
I know, I can't afford it.
No, I mean, well, this guy's a billionaire and he is just bringing along a bunch of other famous people with him. He's like, hey, you're famous, come on over. But
Mhm.
actually, what's really interesting about this particular encounter with the people that he brought on, he just posted online saying, who wants to come with me to space? Like, that is what he wrote on his social
Mhm.
media.
Mhm.
And then he threw in some money into that as well. So let me read it to you verbatim. So he said that he has boasted of holding the Guinness World Record for the most retweeted post when he offered a cash prize of 1 million yen, or about $7,000, to 100 winners for retweeting it. So in that
Um,
message, he says, "Who wants to come to me? Who wants to come with me to space? Retweet this, and the first one, I don't know, the first 100 winners is going to win some dough." Genius.
I mean, I would. I'd do it just for the
Yeah,
money, you know?
yeah. Just
Take me to
retweet
the
it.
moon too, that'd be fine too, but yeah, yeah. He said, oh, 1,000,000 people applied. Did you see that? Like,
And he trimmed it down to just a few big
it was just
shots.
was it 2, 3? Oh, I gotta
Yeah, we
look.
got
They did name the names.
K-pop rapper.
Mm.
I'm really not even gonna say these because just like you, I want to butcher them so bad. Then you had a wildlife photographer, and then you also had a YouTuber and an actor as well. So you're getting a variety of different people. We are aware that there is going to be an extension on the International Space Station that's going to be dedicated to creating movies and also having influencers go on and do stuff in space, which is really
Mm.
awesome, but also kind of unnecessary. I think that's what a green screen is for. But to my understanding, Tom Cruise will be one of the first actors to go into
Oh.
space and film in this new extension of the ISS that's already under construction, to my understanding. So, in a sense, I'm not shocked that these people that probably know absolutely nothing about space or how to be
Mhm.
an astronaut are going, because that is going to be our future.
You think that's where we're all inevitably heading?
Yeah, look, SpaceX is cool. Commercial space travel is where it's at. But honestly, Kristen, between you and me, I want to get a TARDIS. You know what a TARDIS is, right?
I do, I owned one.
I'm
But
jealous.
you want yours to travel, right?
Yeah, I want a TARDIS with David Tennant, like the one that he
Yeah.
has in Doctor Who. Like just to like check out the universe and check out time as well. That would be super cool. But
Mhm.
by the way, I am stoked for David Tennant coming back as being the Doctor. Even though it's only for a few episodes, for me he's the best Doctor.
Oh, it's gonna get me in trouble. I've never seen any
Oh
Doctor Who.
no.
Mm-mm.
Don't even worry about it. It's really good though. Like the new generation of it is really, really awesome of Doctor Who.
Mhm.
I know we have some Doctor Who fans in the chat. When the information about David Tennant came out, he was also in, I think it's called Bad Omen, or is it Good Omen? I don't know if you've seen that
I've
one.
seen him in a few things, not that one, but yeah, he's fabulous.
Oh my gosh, he's beautiful acting. But I know that for a lot of people, including myself, like he will always be the Doctor. Out of all the other ones from the new generation, David Tennant is the best Doctor. And then Matt Smith comes in second. But yes, a TARDIS. Or, even have you ever seen the movie Spaceballs?
Yes, yes, I
Okay.
have.
So the main character, Lone Star, he lives in an
Mhm.
RV, but it also travels through space. Also want one of those.
Maybe yours will. I don't know. What do you have to do to make that happen?
Be a billionaire.
I think that's really the answer here. That's really how you get anything done. Who would have thought?
Be a billionaire and ask Elon Musk, make me an RV that can go through space. Thank you. You can sign it if you like, but just give it to me.
Uh,
But Spaceballs,
ooh.
all of Mel Brooks movies are amazing.
Do you think Spaceballs and that main character was your initial inspiration for your plans? Weaseled your way in there in the little
I
recesses of your mind?
I did a little bit. I also do like Lone Star's outfit. It's very casual, some boots and some jeans and like a nice little overcoat thing, flannel. That is a dream outfit right there. So kind of. And then also having his Mog, half man, half dog, his own best friend. That's all you need.
And Bill Pullman. Mwah. I met him once.
No way.
He was cool.
I
Yeah.
bet.
Taller than you would think.
Oh. Maybe you're just shorter than you
I
expected.
am quite short. You know what? We're going to move on.
We're going to move on. So we got, I think we have one more article and I'm trying to look for it unless we covered everything. But hold on. Let me check.
Do we? I
Did we
think we
cover
might have
everything?
gotten them all. No, I'm going
Dang,
through.
we're good.
I know.
I'm
We
checking.
whizzed
I'm
right through
checking.
that.
Oh, no. We're saving the best for last. About the wormhole.
Ah, and that's what I said at the beginning. I was like, I got to get to the wormhole.
I know, but
Okay.
we're going to get to it.
So I got some issues with this one. Do you want to read it or do you want me to go through it?
I want to hear the issues.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me just start getting into it and then I'll get to the issues. So scientists
Okay.
simulate baby wormhole without rupturing space and time. Luckily, good. Researchers have announced that they simulated two minuscule black holes in a quantum computer and transmitted a message between them through what amounted to a tunnel in space time. They said that based on the quantum information teleported, a traversable wormhole appeared to have emerged, but that no rupture of space and time was physically created in the experiment, according to the study published in the journal Nature on Wednesday. So they created this little teeny tiny minuscule black hole in a quantum computer. So I don't know if that actually makes it a real, like, it was a simulation. They simulated it. But it got me thinking, like, wormholes are they exist based on Einstein's mathematics.
Right. The Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Purely, that's where they exist. Like, nobody's ever seen one. We've never documented one. That's where they live. So they are like it's kind of wormholes in theory, right? So I don't know. My I'm getting stuck on this, but like an issue that I had was how do you simulate something that doesn't I don't know, that doesn't exist? I don't know. I was really getting hung up on that for some reason. So let's see. Caltech physicist Maria Spirapoulou, a co-author of the research, described it as having the characteristics of a baby wormhole and now hopes to make adult wormholes and toddler wormholes step by step.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know. I just know that those would be bigger. Isn't that a problem?
But the way that it's titled adult wormholes, toddler wormholes, baby wormholes, they were having too much fun.
They were, and apparently it's really simple what they did, but yeah, they're really playing with this idea here. Experts who were not involved in the experiment cautioned that it was important to note that a physical wormhole had not actually been created, but noted the future possibilities. I don't know. I think we're a long way off from that.
Khalid even says infant wormholes. Just call them everything.
Yes. Zygote wormholes.
Why not? But there are places where wormholes have been observed, even by scientists who are monitoring the Skinwalker Ranch during the Robert Bigelow ownership.
Mhm.
And they saw some kind of like a wormhole actually opening up and a creature coming through it. And then there have been sightings of such things in the Bridgewater Triangle as well, where Puck, the Puck Wedgie, is from. So I don't think that we have the tech to do that anytime soon. But I wonder if maybe a more advanced civilization would use them for non-linear travel.
Well, yeah, because that's basically what the wormhole is. It can connect to remote regions of wherever space and time and make that happen, make that connection happen, right? Is that the idea behind it's a
Well,
portal?
I mean, maybe that's how some of these UFOs are showing up here, but
True.
also maybe even dimensionals, shadow people,
Mhm.
ghosts,
Sasquatch?
Sa- Sasquatch, and him and his stories walking through tree trunks that are actually portals.
Mhm.
Ah, I want to walk through one of those.
I would do it if I got the chance. I don't even not knowing what's on the other side. I might just do it. Life is short.
But would you tie a string to yourself just to make sure that you'll get back on?
You're gonna pull me back with a string?
Yeah, yeah. Be like, Kristen, come back.
Oh my gosh, hopefully you don't just pull back like a hand or something and that's it.
Stop.
No, you know what? I would just brave it.
Nice.
I would go
I
through
think
and hope that I could come home.
you better talk to a Bigfoot real nicely and say, "Hey, buddy, please take me back to the other side." But if I were to go, I would have to stock up on some ramen noodles. It would have to be with me just to be safe because you never know. What if on the other side there's no vegetation there whatsoever? What if there's no ramen noodles there?
I know,
Where,
you might be in the upside down. Ramen does not exist over there. What if? Like,
uh,
you don't wanna chance that.
oh my gosh.
Oh.
But I did tell Brandon Fugel, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, that I would volunteer to jump through a portal if they found one. I'll be like, just call me up. I'll be there, and I'm gonna jump through it so fast.
You think he'll take you up on that?
I the opportunity and the option is there. If he needed someone to do it, it'll be
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
But he invited me, so I think he's planning on it.
Yeah, well, I hope
Push me
that if
first.
you do that, you get to come back because 'cause you'll be very missed over here.
Oh, I hope I come back too because if they don't have ramen, I don't want to live there on the other side. No. Jonocide says, I need a wormhole gun like Rick and Morty. I've actually never seen Rick and Morty.
I haven't either.
Okay. Whew. Oh, okay. I was like, if she didn't watch Doctor Who, she's probably seen Rick and Morty. And I'm
No.
like, no.
Sorry, genocide. I'm sorry.
I've seen like clips and I've seen so much merch. It's unbelievable. But I've actually like
Mhm.
never sat down watching a whole doc or a whole TV show on it. It's not a documentary. Maybe it is.
Well, it's the cartoon. It's got, like, science and a lot of science stuff to it, right?
It does. It does, which is very cool. I'm always for that. I just haven't had the time to watch cartoons except for Invader Zim, like my favorite alien TV show. Have you seen it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, this one's really good. It's like from the more earlier 2000s. So again, like I think like 1 or 2 seasons tops, and it's the cutest thing of this little alien who's coming down to Earth. It's a kid show, and he's supposed to like ruin the entire planet, but he has to actually like go through like human school. And there's this one like super smart nerd that just foils all of his plans, very much like Dexter. Dexter's Laboratory, that kind of cartoon.
Okay, okay.
It's kind of similar, but with aliens and a robot called Gurr, and he wears a little like dog costume. He's supposed to be a dog, but he's actually a robot. It's really funny. I totally recommend it. But Kristen, that is all the time that we have for today on Weekly Strange News. Where can people find you online, and where can they find your podcast?
Yeah, online, you can find me at all the socials at ParanormGirlPod. You can email me, paranormgirlpod@gmail.com, my website, paranormgirlpod.com, and you can catch my episodes, past and upcoming, on any of the podcast platforms, major, minor, independent, all that. So I can be found.
Heck yeah. And all of her links are in the description box below as well. Kristen, I'm going to put you backstage, but don't go anywhere. Well, that is it for today's show. Out of all the articles that we covered, which one was your favorite? I think for myself, the funniest one was the 67-year-old Japanese man calling the police 2,000 plus times in 9 days. Wow, that is some dedication or some absolute boredom going on right there. But out of all the ones that you heard or that you saw, which one was your favorite? While you answered that and before you head out, please make sure to hit the like button on this video and also subscribe if you haven't already. There is a bunch of fantastic and very diverse topics right here on this channel. Next week on Shifting the Paradigm, we have an explorer in the unexplained and the mysterious, Jeff Belanger. You don't want to miss it. We cover some fascinating topics. And yes, we also talk about puck wedgies as well. I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. Be safe. And remember, keep Your eyes on the skies.